So DJ Flounder is here for the interview. Thank you for coming out.
Thanks for having me.
So, what inspires you to create music?
Just the diverse culture of music in general. It's so expansive, and there's so many different things to do it, and it inspires me to see that you're not limited to just one thing with it, and you can. It's like any art, you can do whatever you want with it, and I find that to be truly amazing, and it inspires me to see the different pieces of art that people can create with just their minds, obviously with the added tech to be able to successfully create those things. But it's just the art in itself that inspires me to do it, because it brings me joy to see the smiles it puts on people's faces when they hear music in general, so I want to be able to create that for other people.
hmm So, like, what was your first influence from it, or how did you get inspired from music? And then how did you prepare for your first show?
Yeah. So my first ever truly awakening for wanting to do this was at Electric Forest 2020, I think it was, right after COVID. It was the first Forest back, and I didn't know much about EDM. The people I went with were all experienced ravers, so I was in with a good group, and everyone was like, "You got to see Grizz. You got to see Grizz." He was playing at the same time as Liquid Stranger. I didn't know who Grizz was. I knew a little bit about Liquid Stranger, so I almost didn't go to Grizz. I wanted to see Liquid Stranger, and everyone was like, "No, you have to see Grizz. This is his festival. He's like the man. If he's here, you got to see him. If you've never seen him." So I, listened to him. I went there by myself, right in front of the front of house, by myself, just standing there watching the show, and it blew me away. Like, not even just him as a person, but the art that he created with his music, and looking around and seeing how much joy and laughter and just coming together of different cultures and people, and how much happiness around him listening to his music. And right at that moment, I was just like, this is what I want to do. And what really hit me was probably one of the first things in my life that I truly wanted to do for myself. I used to play hockey growing up. That was I wake up hockey, eat some food hockey. I lived and breathed it, and I don't regret doing it. But I think that was more of my dad's passion. Since he played hockey, he got me into it, and don't get me wrong, I loved it. I still did it for myself, but there's a part of it that was doing it for him. So when I found the music, it truly felt like it was my own complete choice on it. And that's when I knew, I was like, this is what I want to do as for the rest of my life. And even if I don't make it, I want to be doing something, whether it's teaching music, producing it, anything. I don't ever want to lose this type of art.
hmm When you have that drive and passion, it's like you feel it. Like
Yep.
only you can feel it in
Yeah.
your heart, and
Yeah.
you're just excited about it always. And
Yeah.
that's the thing about music, is because there's always something new. When you don't think there's something new, there's something
Yeah.
new in
It's
music.
ever changing, man.
Always, every single day, there's
Yeah.
something new about music.
It's beautiful. It's like any art, it's always changing. That's the beauty of it. And I'm always trying to learn something new with it, and you'll never know it all, but that's also the beauty of it. Just constantly bettering yourself. And that goes for anything, whether it's some form of art or just any day life. So
So the EDM community kind of impacted you that night, and then you kind of grew
yep.
with it. So how are you impacting the EDM community today,
Today.
now?
Yeah.
And what do you envision with it?
I would say it's nothing crazy, but you got to start somewhere. Me and my buddy Jonah have we kind of business partners. No, we're not kind of. We are business partners and buddies, and we've been putting on a lot of shows up here in Traverse City. Not a lot of EDM shows up here. obviously it's not just us that have been doing it. We've had plenty of help from other friends and family as well, and it hasn't been made possible without them. And I've had people come up to me, people up to Jonah, and people up to other people saying, "Hey, yo, I love what you're doing up here. This is so cool. Like, this is a nice break from having to drive to Grand Rapids or Detroit for this kind of music." So hearing that, it makes me feel really good. Even though it's only been one or two people, that's more than enough for me to be like, all right, it's obviously doing some effect. So when I hear that, it shows that there's giving back to the community that's, gave to me a start, so that keeps me going, knowing that it's actually going somewhere and I'm not just doing it and being in a stalemate, if that
Mhm.
makes sense.
Yeah. And I mean, we've cooked beef before, and like I know that you're like very skilled at making this and you know what you're doing. So like if somebody was new into music and they kind of wanted to do EDM or just
Yeah.
or like any music, like what advice would you give for them starting out?
Um, let's see. Just at first, don't have any expectations of making it overnight. That's for damn sure. There's are the select few people that just, are the prodigy kids. They just get it, but that's one in a billion. And I wouldn't say personally don't limit yourself to one genre to begin with. A lot of people say find one and just stick with it and grind it out. To some extent, I can say that's true, but when you're first starting out, like I'm still learning what I want to produce and play, like because I'm finding all these new sub genres. Like, oh, I kind of like this a little bit more than this one, and I would say don't limit yourself to just one or two. Like try making different songs, different genres, and over time you'll find the one that really speaks with you and one that you naturally are just more talented at producing. And if you like that one a lot, I would say stick with that one and just 5 minutes a day at minimum. Just get on there. It's like anything. Once you stop for a little bit, you regress. But if you stay on it consistently every day, even if you don't notice it, you will progress over time. Um, but the main thing is don't limit yourself to just one genre. Experiment with a lot of things until you find that one niche, and then once you find that one niche, just kind of grind down and drill that one home.
Yeah. And I'm sure like in the music scene, like you gotta just obviously be consistent, like you said, and then always try something new.
Yeah,
Because if you're just doing the same thing every single day, you're not really, it doesn't seem like you're putting in too much effort or
yeah,
like, trying to improve at
yeah.
all.
You could also get bored if you do the same thing over and over and over again, because that goes for anything really. When you get into that, like, wake up, you do this, eat food, go to sleep, same process, you kind of get into like this blurry mindset. So it's good to change it up once in a while just to keep that fresh mind. So I'm not saying once you find that niche, never do anything else, but I would say stick to that one for the most part and master it. And once you master it, then you know then expand. Like look at a lot of big name artists. They, when they first start, when you look at their first, underground releases and everything, they got a variety of stuff. Then they find their niche, and then they just hammer it away. And then once they made it huge and big, then they're like, all right, I know I got a fan base following this. Let's start experimenting and showing my other genres of music that I make. And since they already have the following, it's easier for them to show that and get a liking towards it. Versus if you just start off and you don't have a following yet and you're constantly showing 20 different genres, it's hard for people to like follow behind it because they're like, oh, he can make a lot of genres. But everyone I've met, they have their one main genre as their go-to. I'm not saying they don't like multiple genres, but they'll say like someone might like dubstep, and 9 out of 10 times they're gonna go to a dubstep set over a house set, or vice versa. Or someone might like more techno versus house music or whatnot. So people have their main genres. So like when you're constantly producing different songs, it's hard to get them like a strict following almost. And all that being said, you don't even have to listen to me. It's just my personal experience. But from my experience, it seems to first experiment with a couple and then find your niche and hammer that home. And again, this is all just my opinion. You can do whatever the heck you want. And no matter what you do, as long as you have a passion in it and just a hard work ethic, you'll be successful. So,
Yeah. Dude, I think that's a good plan personally. Like, I like it.
yeah.
But I kind of want to shift it now to shows.
All right.
So like, um, how do you prepare for shows? Like what kind of practice steps do you go to, and do you like record stuff, or like
Yeah.
what do you do to practice for shows?
Yeah. So I have decks that I practice on at home. Nothing crazy. Um, Mentally, I have to like kind of lock in almost. I have to like just visualize myself behind those decks playing live. It's one thing to do it at home, physically do it, but I think the mental aspect is just as important. Um, Seeing myself in my own head prior to the show, envisioning my every move, like, oh, I'm taking the high end out of this song, I'll bring in the high end in this one, bringing this fader in or chopping it, spinning this deck out, loading in the new song, just truly envisioning that inside your head. It sets you up for success. It's I'm pretty sure there's a psychology study on it, but it's like when you're skiing, for example, if you're constantly thinking, don't hit the tree, while you're skiing through a bunch of trees, your subconscious can't tell the difference. Or, yeah, can't tell the difference really that you don't want to hit it, but since you're telling yourself don't hit it, you're thinking about it more and you end up hitting the tree. Versus the professionals, what they are saying, find the lane, find the lane. They're envisioning that openness and they're telling themselves, find that openness. And their subconscious is like, all right, let's find this openness. And they rarely or never hit trees. So the same thing with just playing live. Envision yourself doing all the right things. Don't envision yourself accidentally screwing up a song, or don't think about, oh shit, what if I fuck up? Who cares? Don't think about that. It hasn't even happened yet. So why even have a negative thought about it? Just thinking about all the good things you're gonna do, what you're gonna say into the mic, how you're gonna get the crowd going. That's a big, huge part of preparing for a show. Also, as well as the actual hands-on part. Have a For freestyling for an hour, I'd say have around 100 songs. 100, 150, depending on how many doubles or triples you're gonna do, and just kind of like know those songs. The better you know your music, the easier it's going to be overall if you freestyle and just mess with those songs constantly. If you have more of a plan set, practice a lot of that plan set. If you have a plan set, every song is placed where it's going to be coming one after the other. Practice it from start to finish. And if you're struggling on a certain spot, don't start over every time. Start in that one spot until you get it down, and then keep going from there, and then do a full run. So I'd say physically practicing, but I think a big important thing is also the mental preparation. Just envision yourself doing it.
And final question here is, what kind of upcoming shows do you have? What kind of plans you got going on in the future?
Yeah, we actually have a show tomorrow for a Halloween rave.
I'm super excited for it, by
Yeah, I'm really excited for that
the
too. I
way.
got a great costume. I can't tell what it is, but I think it's gonna be sweet. That one's tomorrow. After that, I believe I have a show. I'm not the main artist, but I'm on the open decks for Rhythm Rapids. That's November 17th, I believe, down in Grand Rapids. And after that, I'm not booked for anything, but I know Jonah and I have a lot of shows that were already in the works for next summer. It's kind of like the time of year, anyways, for shows. Wintertime is more, work on your music, whatnot, prepare for the summer, because summertime is when you just flood the gates. So we have a lot of shows that we're planning. We're talking about maybe a festival, but we need to get that in the works sooner than later, because that'll be a long process. But I think we can do it. So 2 more shows for this year. We might have. Oh yeah, that's right. We might also have a New Year's show. Not sure where yet, but that's a plan of ours.
Mhm. All right. Well, that's pretty much all the questions I have. I mean, if you want to close it with any thoughts or comments,
Yeah,
that's then we'll wrap it up.
I would say if you take anything from any of this, if you think this was funny or whatever, that's totally fine. But one advice I'd say is do it if you really enjoy it. If you don't enjoy it, find something else. Someone once said that I was listening to, find something you're willing to do for free and make that your career, and you'll never work a day in your life. If that's anything, take that.